We've been playing well here probably for the last 12 games, playing like a good stretch of basketball here. We didn't play to that way that we've been playing here in that stretch at all. It started from the beginning of the game. They're just too comfortable with what they were doing offensively. I think they were 8 for 12 to start the game. We didn't have the necessary resistance and force that we've been having. So our standard drop tonight wasn't acceptable. We didn't like what we did, and we could never find our way quite out of it. Give them credit, they made some shots, but we're more focused on the stuff that we can control, and we didn't do enough to force them to miss or do enough physicality to keep them off the offensive boards.
With that being said, how do you now move forward knowing the stretch of games you have coming up are against opponents who are looking at playoffs, knowing that there isn't going to be a drop-off of what's coming at this team? What's our solution to this? How do you have that conversation with them?
Get back to what we've been doing, how we've been playing. We've set an example of how we played lately. Let's get back to that. Look at ourselves in the mirror and say we weren't good enough tonight, and let's get back to competing the way that we know that we're capable of, and then stringing those possessions consistent. That's always the next thing for us, and that's the next challenge we have coming up with practice tomorrow, looking and reviewing and learning from this, and then getting ready to play for the next game.
Brian, just the deficit in points in the paint and second chance points, what is the degree of difficulty in keeping those guys out of that painted area?
We've actually done a pretty good job of that lately, keeping people away from the rim. We defend the rim at actually one of the top 5 levels in the NBA for the whole year. We just didn't have that resistance that we've been showing. And give them credit, they took it to us in that area, but that's not what we're capable of.
And another game with 19 turnovers, and I think 37 in the past 7 quarters. So where does that rank in terms of what you want to fix?
I think we tried to rush getting back in the game and instead of just trying to make the simple right play. You're not going to get back in a game like that by a home run. When we're good, we have good ball movement, touch the paint, and just hit the open man. I think we were trying to play in crowds and getting rushed, trying to get ourselves back on one possession. When we operate the way we've been except for the last 2 games with the turnovers, we can score pretty well. But when you try to make a little bit of playing in the crowds, trying to force it, that can make the lead go higher, and that's what happened tonight.
Coach, 𝗙𝗢𝗄 has such a big impact on the game and was a big reason why Alex didn't have as good of a game as he's had recently. What do you think Alex can learn from games like this where he goes up against a player like Gobert?
Well, that's a great thing about this league. There's great challenges every night, not just obviously Gobert is a great player. Alex is going to see the best of the best every night. That's the beauty of this league, is the competition part of this. A lot to learn from this. I know Alex well. Alex has had a terrific year this year. I know he'll bounce back and learn, but he'll look at some of these lessons and use those going forward, and he's done a really good job of that this year.
And I know Marvin picked up those 4 fouls pretty early on there. Out of curiosity, were Alex's minutes being restricted or monitored at all?
No, he was fine tonight.
Yeah, no, it felt really good. Yeah, the hamstring was a non-issue. I never dealt with anything like that before in my career, and I'm really glad we took the time to get it right. I was moving good today. I haven't really played once, but once in the last 6 weeks, so it kind of felt like I was a little bit outside of my own body, kind of trying to find the rhythm. But shots were falling, shot it pretty good today, and just the team collective effort was disappointing on our end for sure.
Was this kind of, because the injuries happened so quickly together, did this kind of feel like just an extended time that was mentally a little bit tougher than you might have thought going into it, knowing that it was just got back and then this pops up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, spent a month out with my thumb, and was really ready to go, playing in Charlotte, and just some of the freak stuff that you can't account for in basketball. Obviously didn't want it, wasn't expecting it, and I just kind of had to take my medicine and sit on the sidelines a little bit longer. So the overwhelming feeling tonight is I'm really happy I made it through the game, and I'm really happy I'm back too.
BK mentioned tonight obviously not playing the way you guys wanted to, especially on the defensive end. He mentioned, it's one of those ones where you look yourselves in the mirror and hold yourselves accountable. For you all as players, it's one thing for the coaches to say it. What does it look like from a player's standpoint?
Yeah, well, it's really, yes, BK is right. Looking in the mirror, taking accountability, playing harder. We didn't really make Minnesota do anything special tonight. We just kind of were there and provided no resistance. But thankfully, over the course of the last 15 games or so, we've proven that this isn't who we are. So it feels like more of a fluke than a bad trend. So we're really optimistic, and we're excited to get back out there and change the narrative and flip the script. This isn't who we are. This isn't the way we want to play. This isn't the way we have been playing. So really confident that we'll come back out in the next in 2 days' time and make a better effort.
Corey, this is at least my first time talking to you in a few weeks, and over that time, Trey Johnson's played really well and has a lot of range to his shot. What do you think about his game and his upside as a player?
Yeah, unbelievable range, unbelievable confidence for a guy his age. I just marvel how kids, and I can say that now, kids that come into the NBA at their age, how ready they are to play. And I mean, I was a bum at 19. I definitely wasn't ready to play in the NBA at that point. So it just marvels me over and over again. Trey has a ton of runway ahead of him, a ton of work to do. But what he's done and the confidence he showed and the way he can shoot the ball, especially, like that's the main thing in the NBA today is you got to have a really elite skill, and that's obvious what Trey's is. And if he continues to work hard and continues to put the work in and do the right thing, like he could be very good very quickly. It's just with that skill alone to play off of.
You mentioned the team has been playing a lot better lately. What has kind of stood out to you as a big positive, something you've been encouraged by in particular?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it feels that we just kind of settled into the season. The first 20 or 25 games of an NBA season, everyone's kind of feeling each other out across the league, within your own team. And it takes a while to kind of settle into who you are. And we finally, clarified what we were trying to do and what we wanted to play like. We took the best of the first, 25 games or so and really focused on those things. And when we play fast, we share the ball. We rebound on offense and defense. And then when we cause havoc on defense, those things lead to better basketball. And that's what we really focused on over the last 10 games. And when we kind of clarified our focus to, 3 or 4 things rather than trying to do everything, it turned out really well for us. So we got to get back to that recipe in a couple of days.
Corey, was there any advice you gave the young guys that you kind of saw them follow over the last 10 games before this one?
Yeah, I mean, they are unbelievably confident, and I tend to give advice to guys who, feel like they're kind of deer in the headlights or not really sure of what they're doing. And I mean, these guys are ready to play and play hard right now. A lot of just little stuff. That's all they need. How to move off the ball, when to cut, when to space, how to get guys' hands off of you. When you're an elite shooter, people are very close to you all the time. It's like Velcro, so you got to create that space to free up your game. Little stuff like that. It's not anything revolutionary or anything mind blowing. These guys have a really good coaching staff, really good support systems, and I just try to be a part of that.
Hey, Corey, kind of following up on that, with the youth on the team, just what is the value of having guys like Chris and CJ and the stuff they can say and how they go about their business to trickle down to the rest of the roster?
Yeah, it's probably the most important part of a phase of where we're at, other than developing the talent that we have. It's having guys that have been there and done that before, that not only are giving advice, but they're not just advice givers. Like, they're players and they play really, really at a high level still. And to have that unique combination of guys like Chris and CJ who can still play at a very high level and also be mentors is a really unique blend, because a lot of times on teams like this, you see older guys who don't play much anymore kind of be those advice guys, but having kind of generals on the floor that can run the team and run the show and be helpful to the younger guys is a really special blend for a rebuilding team.
Yeah, I mean, he's very tall, obviously protects the basket really well. Good timing, obviously a good rebounder. So makes the game very difficult. You have to be aware of where he's at all times. It's hard to crack back on him when AE drives or McDaniels drives or anybody drives, it's hard to crack back because he's just so tall.
And, Alex didn't have as good of a game tonight as he has had recently, partially because of Rudy Gobert, so he obviously can use this as a learning experience. I'm curious, when you were in your second, third year in the NBA and you maybe didn't have as good of a game, what kind of lessons would you take from those games going up against older players at your same position?
Yeah, my second year, I didn't play a lot. I was getting DNP, so it's just about watching the film, figuring out how you can be better, figuring out where you can be more aggressive, where you could maybe, hustle a little bit more on certain plays. And I think we always look at the shooting, the box score of field goals made and stuff like that. But it's the little impactful plays that I think make the difference. Where you're in the right spots, where you're making the calls defensively, where you're in the drop, where you're at the level when you should have been at the level. Those are the things that the team feeds off of, and you're going to make and miss shots throughout the season. It's a long season. That's the way it goes, but it's about doing the little details well and kind of stacking those days. But you have nights like this, and you just watch the film and move forward.
CJ, the little things is something you guys have been focusing on a lot, especially as of late with the stretch you guys have been playing. And when you have a night like tonight, and Corey mentioned something that I thought was very interesting, looking at this as more of a fluke type of thing and not the trend moving forward with how you all played. Does it feel like that for you as well, too, in the rest of the locker room, and how you guys look at the film and see what can be worked on and then move forward and kind of put this behind you?
Yeah, we didn't have great energy tonight. We didn't protect the basket. There was no real resistance. There was a lot of things that we did poorly tonight that hasn't been consistently who we've been from a basketball standpoint. So I think it's watching the film and understanding that, we took a step back tonight, but we can take 2 steps forward in our next game, and that there's a lot of games to be played back-to-backs. We haven't been able to practice a lot, right? Those types of things impact performance sometimes. So we got to get back to the drawing board, get back to the basics tomorrow, and stack some more good days heading into, 4 and 5 nights or whatever it is.
Entering tonight, this was the franchise's probably best stretch of basketball for at least since last year. What do you think accounted for that improvement?
I think guys are just understanding what it takes to sustain a certain level of play throughout a game. There's going to be lulls. There's going to be times where teams go on a run, but being able to, refocus the energy, refocus playing style, and get back to what coach wants to execute, I think is the difference. Obviously, guys are getting more comfortable. We're playing better defensively. We're passing the ball a little bit more, causing deflections, getting out and running in transition. Those things make the game easier, but I think we're just stacking and sustaining longer levels of, high-level play and activity.
Yeah, CJ, a second straight game with 19 turnovers for you guys. I think 37 in the last 7 quarters. So what is the fix for that going into the next game?
Yeah, just be more decisive, better spacing. Sometimes just get off the ball. We're trying to make something happen, especially when we get down, and sometimes it's just the easiest play is the next play.
CJ, what do you think makes Ant so good, and how do you think you guys can go about not stopping a player like that, but just trying to throw him off his game a little bit?
How many points a game does he average?
About almost 30, 29.
So he's not stopping him. He's getting 30 at night. Bad night is 28, right? So I think it's just about making it difficult, making him shoot tough twos. He's going to get his threes off. He's going to get to the rim. And tonight he scored at 3 levels like he's done all year, and he got 5 over his average, or 4 over his average tonight.
CJ, is adding on to that, like just making any players difficult, like with Rudy Gobert, is there any advice that you would give or that you have been giving to the bigs that you've seen try to make his game a little difficult, especially with the offensive rebounding?
Yeah, I think for Rudy, it's just about being patient, trying to pull him away from the basket. At times, we've had success doing that a lot. He's big. He's going to protect the rim. He's got great timing. He's a second jumper. He's going to get rebounds, and he's going to take advantage of all, missed shots around the basket and late lob plays. So sometimes we just try to pull him away from the basket. But as you learn and grow and evolve, it gets easier to play against those types of players. But you got to have some of these types of nights.